Those risks can be political risk. Maybe the leader is pandering to political pressures. It can be operational risk. The civil service does not function properly. Therefore, translating a vision into reality becomes a problem because the chain is broken. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, very true.
It could be strategic risk. Maybe you're relying too much on oil price, oil revenues to run your government. And when the oil price collapses, as often happens in the Nigerian economy, then you find yourself that when the price of oil sneezes, Nigeria catches pneumonia. So the risk management office will help us to manage these risks. Then the performance management office will measure the performance of every part of the government against its responsibilities. And any part of the government that is not performing, there will be accountability. I expect to fire at least 1 or 2 ministers within the first 6 months for non-performance, except they choose, now that they are warned, they may know that when they're entering my government, we're not here for play. We're not here to joke. We're here to work for the Nigerian people, and we have 4 years to deliver results. We may not necessarily achieve 100%, but we must achieve at least 70 to 80% of our plans. That's the kind of passion I have for leading Nigeria. And that's what is different that I will bring to the table.
Yes. You spoke now about inclusiveness.
Absolutely.
Including every tribe.
Yeah.
And so what is your vision for women, for youths in your government?
Very important. Women as partners. WAP. I've told you, it's WAP, WAP, WAP all the way. War against poverty, war against prejudice, women as partners. I have a vision for women in the Nigerian society. No society that treats women the way Nigerians treat women today can prosper. Our women are marginalized politically, they are marginalized structurally, they are marginalized economically because the gender aspect of poverty is real. That women don't have as much economic opportunities as men do. It's not as easy for them to get bank loans because they don't own property to the same extent as men do. So we will address all these structural issues through laws, we'll address them through policy, we'll address them through education against gender bias. So we're going to make sure that men play a very important role in gender justice and gender equity in Nigeria. And we will be, my target is 50-50 gender parity in our cabinet appointments and political appointments. So it's not going to fall below 40%, but we'll be aiming for 50%. Because the national population, national gender policy says 30%. I think that is too low. Concerning the youth, it's the same thing. The youth of a nation are the guarantee of the posterity of any nation.
Very true.
So the reason I'm in politics is to show that a new generation can show a different kind of leadership from our corrupt and old and recycled politicians. That generation must be younger, but not just campaigning on the basis of its youth, but also on the basis of its experience and competence. So I bring the generational shift element, and I bring the element of experience and the element of a youthful vision of Nigeria's future, because most of the citizens of Nigeria today, over 60%, are young people. So the future belongs to the youth. And so my government, as president, I will now create a structural shift that opens up the space for young people to take charge of their destiny. Not people who have been in political leadership even when we were breastfeeding.
Very true.
And today they're still in political leadership, trying to run for second term or third term or whatever you have. It's enough. They have sat on our future for too long. Their future is already behind them. When people are of a certain age, they are not very futuristic. Their frame of mind is about the past. And that's the kind of leadership Nigeria has today. The kind of leadership we need, which is what I hope to bring, is the kind of leadership that is looking to the future with hope and with plans and a strategy to make our young men and women competitive to enter the 21st century.
Very true, sir.
That's what we need.
going about the government, the current government, as it stands, most of our state governors are struggling to pay salary.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how do you intend to fund all this innovation, this VCs, to raise money, to pay salaries, to make sure that the public sector is somewhere that people are actually proud to work?
Absolutely. First of all, the public sector we will reform through the Office of Human Capital Development that I mentioned to you.
Yeah.
They will now oversee a retraining of human capital in the public service of Nigeria so that the public sector becomes a service delivery mechanism for Nigerians. I just saw something in India where they now take public services to the doorsteps of people in their homes. You may not even have to come to the office. We can bring the service to your home. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so we will use IT to make e-government more available to Nigerians and for young people. So these are the kinds of ways that we will improve the public service. Now, on the question of salaries, governors not being able to pay salaries, it is a function of Nigeria's excessive reliance on oil, the worship of the small gods of small things, as I call it. So I believe that Nigeria needs to be constitutionally restructured such that the regions, because we should restructure not along the basis of states, because many states in Nigeria today cannot survive economically, and that's why they cannot pay salaries. But if you restructure along the lines of the 6 geopolitical zones, each one of them can be an economically viable unit. They can trade within that unit, they can manufacture within that unit, and there will be a market for the products of manufacturing and trade within that unit. Not to speak of the inter-regional trade that will be taking place, sometimes on a competitive basis and manufacturing. This is what will develop the Nigerian economy. The federal government in Abuja has captured power so exclusively that the states have become vassals. They just go to Abuja every month to put out their hand to collect allocation. The states have become lazy. So, but if you devolve the responsibility back to the people through the regions, the geopolitical zones, they will be forced to become more productive because they're in charge of their own destiny, more or less.
Very, very true.
We will have a central government at the center that coordinates common services, like the central bank, like foreign affairs, like immigration, those types of things. Yeah.
So this question, obviously, because most politicians in Nigeria currently embezzle money to run campaign.
Yes, exactly.
How is the Kingsley Moghalu campaign being funded?
Very good question. I have funded my campaign from my personal resources very largely. I cannot continue to do so because I did not steal any government money like our politicians. They are spending in the billions from money, our money, your money, and my money that they have stolen. Because I never did that. I don't have that kind of money. Therefore, the only people who are supporting us and who will support us in this campaign are the people of Nigeria, and especially the middle class. I am calling out the middle class in this country. They have just, been asleep at the wheel. And it is time our middle class woke up and began to exercise their responsibility. One, by providing financial support to candidates of change, real change and vision. Number two, by making sure that they vote. We should not leave the voting in our country to be done by poor people who can be bought and swayed with 5,000 naira. There are millions and millions of us who are middle-class professionals who, if we were to vote, nobody can bribe us. So we need financial support from every Nigerian who wants, and I do get a lot of financial support from ordinary Nigerians. Sometimes I see people donate to me 1,000 naira, 10,000 naira, 50,000 naira. Those things also help us, to go around in our sensitization campaigns. So, and we want more of that. I don't have endless resources. I'm not a wealthy person, so we cannot compare with the politicians who have stolen our commonwealth. But that's all the more reason why Nigerians should support people like me to dislodge these political thieves. Yes, absolutely. Enough is enough. I'm really angry about what's happening in this country. I'm angry about the poverty. I'm angry about how the politicians have stolen the destiny of our youth and our children. And we all should be angry. We should not continue to vote for our oppressors, the people who have put us in this same thing, instead of kicking them out, we're asking ourselves, oh, will he win? He would make a wonderful president, but can he win? Who's going to make me win if you don't vote for me?
Very true.
If you believe in me, vote for me. I will win. Don't sit around in self-doubt and telling yourself, oh, you know, why is he not in the PDP or the APC? How can I go and get into bed with the problem and expect to solve the problem? If I was in the PDP or the APC, I would never be a presidential candidate.
No.
Because they practice political apartheid,
Very true.
which they call zoning. If you come from some parts of the country, you're automatically excluded. That is not democracy. And that has not worked for us. That's the reason we are in the poverty we are in today.
Very true.
So we need to understand the reason we have our problems and actually act decisively to solve these problems.
I think that's a lot of questions.
A lot to absorb, yes.
Personally, I'm just like, you know. But I've got one question. I know you're from the eastern part
Yes,
of Nigeria.
absolutely, yeah.
And day one, you were made president, first day in office. How would you deal with the issue of Biafra?
Yes. Now, the matter of Biafra is one of the things that show us how we are broken as a country. The Biafran agitation is a cry for justice.
Justice.
But the question is, what is the solution? Is the solution to break up Nigeria? I don't think so.
I think so.
The solution is that Nigeria should become a state founded on equity and justice to all citizens of Nigeria. Remember that the Biafran agitation is only one of several agitations we've seen in this country. There was a time the Niger Delta people were agitating and blowing up oil pipelines.
Yeah.
Yes, we've had agitations from the southwest after June 12th. So the Biafran agitation is not special. It is one of a long line of agitations about marginalization in the history of this country, in the recent history of this country.
Yeah.
So the way to address the problem is to create conditions that make those demands irrelevant. And I believe that a proper constitutional restructuring of Nigeria will create equity and fairness and make it unnecessary for people to be agitating to break up Nigeria. That's my view. I don't think the solution is to break up Nigeria. I think the solution is to make Nigeria work.
That's true.
Work better for you and for me.
Definitely.
But the people who are agitating, you must recognize that there is a reason they are agitating.
Very true.
There is a lot of unfairness in this country. Some people are treated as if they're second-class citizens and others as if they're first class. That's not how Nigeria should be. There can be no peace without justice. So I will create the conditions of peace and justice that will unify Nigeria around a common national worldview that will rise above, all these tribal things, religion, and all that. We are Nigerians,
Very true.
and we should have a common destiny as a nation.
Yes, right.
That's my belief.
Sir, on us in diaspora,
Yeah,
and what are your plans for diaspora voting?
yeah. Well, when I become president in May 2019,
Yes.
I want to tell you that the 2019 elections will be the last election in which the Nigerian diaspora will not be able to vote. As president of Nigeria, I will ensure, through recommendations to INEC, even though it's an independent body, but I believe it's my vision that the diaspora must be able to vote in 2023. So we're going to be making a recommendation to INEC that they should organize for diaspora voting through our embassies and consulates in 2023. So I will strongly support diaspora voting when I become president. There's no, Nigeria is a country with a kind of diaspora that we should make use of much more actively. I have other plans for the diaspora, and you can find them also in my vision. Diaspora engagement.
It would be great if we can actually go into it.
Oh, sure.
What plans are for.
Let me tell you.
The doctors, the nurses.
Oh, yes. Let me tell you my plans as president for the Nigerian diaspora. We will be setting up a diaspora fund. A massive fund whose job will be, and the fund will support the work of the Diaspora Commission, which the National Assembly has approved to come into existence, but has not really been set up. So we will set up the Diaspora Commission and make it a world-class institution that will engage with our diasporans with a strategy for diaspora engagement and diaspora return. Let me tell you what, under my presidency, the Diaspora Commission will do. We will conduct a proper mapping of our human resources abroad. Who is where? What are they doing? What are their professional backgrounds and skills? We will now map We'll now match that map with a local map we will develop about where the skills and manpower needs are in the Nigerian economy, in the Nigerian public service, and then we will attach skills abroad and individuals to openings in Nigeria. The Diaspora Fund now comes in as follows, that many people who work abroad, one of the things, I used to be in the diaspora, so I know this. So I'm going to be the first diaspora president, somebody who has actually been in the diaspora and understands. I was a professor in one of the top universities in the United States, so I know what it means to be a Nigerian living and working abroad, and the frustrations that Nigerians abroad have and feel for what is happening in our country. I have felt it. Part of the reason why I came in to run for president is precisely because of this frustration. So the Diaspora Fund will act to provide funding for diasporans who want to come and take up key positions, especially in the healthcare sector. Our doctors are all running away abroad, and we are contributing to good healthcare abroad rather than at home. So we will try to bring back a lot of these doctors, nurses, medical personnel back home. We'll try to bring back teachers for our educational institutions. So these are two areas of special interest and attention. And when you join the public service, the Diaspora Fund will provide money that will pay you about 60 to about 70% of what you were earning abroad. The remaining 30% is your patriotism gap, which you, if you really want to come home to your country, you should be able to make a sacrifice for it. We should not, make everything El Dorado for you. So you must come and work for your country and help to make it better. But we will not allow the situation which many diasporans will say, I can't come because I have a mortgage in London. I have a mortgage in America. I can't pay for it. The salary in Nigeria cannot pay for it. So this subsidy that will meet 60, 70, 80% of your previous pay will last for 5 years. After 5 years, the subsidy will end. You should have reintegrated yourself within that 5 years, or you can go back to the diaspora if you want. But in that 5 years, you would have transferred skills, you would have transferred knowledge, you would have contributed, you would have helped us facilitate equipment in medical institutions, educational institutions, so we get the benefit of the exposure you've had abroad.
One of the key issues...
No other candidate has this plan.
It sounds really good, sir. One of the things I face when I go back home is the issue of power.
Electric power.
So
yes.
How do we move forward?
What
is the plan? The current government said in 6 months they will have a result. As it stands, nothing changed.
No, we're still at 4,000 megawatts of electricity. And that shows you the failure of leadership in Nigeria. Now, my approach to electric power is that, one, we should decentralize the national grid. That's part of what's killing us. And that's part of this centralization ideology, where Nigeria is supposed to be a federal republic, but is in reality a unitary state. So, one, decentralization of the national grid. Two, we need to use hydroelectric power to service industrial zones in places like Kano, for example, Aba, Onitsha, Nnewi, Lagos. Imagine if these industrial areas had 24-hour electricity. The first thing that will happen is that the price of their goods will crash, because 40% of the prices of any products that are made in Nigeria that you see are electricity prices factored into the final price. So if we can bring that price, if we can remove that price of generator sets, the price of goods will come crashing down. Then we will move towards creating a market for solar, renewable energy for ordinary consumers in their homes. It's healthy and it's sustainable. This is the path that we will use to go towards electricity reform. Now, the natural gas element from the Nigerian oil industry, we will also channel it more to the production of industrialized electricity. But the problem is they prefer to flare this gas or sell them abroad because they get better economic returns. For this approach to work, the electricity that is supplied through this gas will have to make economic returns to those who are supplying it. But the government can subsidize electricity rather than subsidizing the importation of refined petroleum products. That is madness. We produce crude oil, we export it, then we import refined petroleum, and we subsidize the price so that we can pretend that fuel is cheap.
Which is bad economics.
That's very bad economics. We should be subsidizing production, not consumption. That's why the next president of Nigeria must be somebody with an economic mind who can actually direct the Nigerian economy.
Wow. I've taken a lot in, sir.
Hey,
I've got one last question.
you asked for it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I've got one last question.
Sure.
If any of the political parties approach you and say you should merge any of their candidates, what would be your stand on that?
Why would I do that? I am the candidate of a political party, a lawful political party, the Young Progressive Party, YPP.
Yeah.
We are already making inroads. We already have structures across Nigeria to win the election in 2019. And we are going directly to the people. We may not make as much noise as the PDP or the APC. We may not be as ancient as Methuselah like they are. But I want to remind you that the PDP was in existence for 16 years. Within 1 year or 1.5 years, the APC came and took it out. The same way we will take out the APC and the PDP. So we are talking to the people of Nigeria at the grassroots. And the ground is fertile for change because they are all tired of the APC and the PDP. So why would I leave the future to go back into the past?
Thank you so much, sir,
You're very
for taking
welcome.
your time
You're welcome.
to speak to us.
Thank you.
And we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
On the election. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Viewers at home, you've heard from Professor Kingsley Ayodele Mogaudu. And you've heard all the great plans he has for our nation, Nigeria. Keep watching and stay tuned till we meet again. Thank you.